Podcasting since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network, kingofpodcasts.com.
It's safe to say the music industry in 2025 has been lackluster, and that's an understatement.
The King of Podcasts radio network proudly presents the Broadcasters Podcast. Here is the King of Podcasts.
This is episode 407 of the Broadcasters Podcast. Welcome. I am King of Podcasts, and I welcome you to the program. All set up to go ahead and talk to you tonight about music and the music industry right now, which is in such a rough shape this year. You know, the charts have already been very stagnant this year. We know that, right now, for the last, 8 weeks now, K-pop Demon Hunter still rules a lot of the Billboard Hot 100 charts with the number of songs that are there. And of course, across the world, Golden right now, 8 weeks at number one as we are recording tonight. That's going to change next week because Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl has already been released. And 3.5 million units so far have been sold. So, the following that she has out there is obviously all into this. But there's a couple things that show that this particular run is not as massive as it was last year with the Tortured Poets Department. We don't have that this year. And the effort that's out there, the feelings of this anticipation for this album are much different this year for Taylor Swift. Because, does anyone want to hear Taylor Swift do an album that's positive and uplifting where now she's with Travis Kelce, now she's engaged to be married, and now she's probably looking after this album to go ahead and settle down and have children? When you have an artist like her that has been putting out music that's always been kind of a bit somber and solemn, and, it's always about breakups and all. And we've heard about the career that she had. Listen, all happy for her happiness right now. But that doesn't necessarily resonate to music because a lot of good music is always about heartache and love gone wrong and things like that. So to turn that around, you kind of expect that no matter how much fandom that she has, it's not going to overcome the fact that it came in so quickly. And now we're at this point where it's fine. Okay. They got the sales, but now we're seeing some signs that this project did not do so well. Mixed reviews and a couple of telling signs that are going on right now. Here's one of the things. When it comes to Taylor Swift's movie, the official release party of a Showgirl, that happened this past weekend. $34 million for the box office domestically, $50 million total worldwide as of this recording, which is great. But let's talk about the first week of what she did for the Eras Tour, the concert. That first weekend got $93 million total gross. 50% of its gross it made. And by the end of it, it would gross $261 million. It's not going to do that now. So you already have that first week and a third of the audience. By the way, I don't know if there was a lot of movies that were going on that were opening up that weekend, going up against the Eras Tour. I'm trying to remember what there was. So that weekend, October 13th, 2023, when the Eras Tour first came out in the theaters, Taylor Swift blew away. You had The Exorcist Believer, Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie, Saw X, Haunting in Venice, which was a movie I was watching that weekend, The Nun 2, Equalizer 3. Like, there was a lot of movies and a lot of horror movies were out there, and Taylor Swift all of a sudden just swept up and took all the way, it changed all over the way, and blew everybody else out of the water. This time around, still a stagnant movie box office. We know that. But no matter what, the fact that this movie only pulled $34 million is a little bit lacking for the most part. Because you're going up against one battle after another, which wasn't going to make that much right now in the box office currently. And then you had The Smashing Machine, Gabby's Dollhouse, and the movies like that. And that was it. And Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, right? Whatever else. There's not much else going on. And as a result of the movie theaters there's an interesting story that just came out today that the movie will stop its overseas rollout in theaters. New international markets, were going to release the movie later this month, and that has been pulled. It was expected to go and open up in Canada, Mexico, the UK, Ireland, France, Germany, Switzerland, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. But now that's no longer happening. It was going to be released in over 100 additional countries outside of the United States. So October 3rd, the movie came out. There's going to be some word about more dates and more advanced ticket sales to be announced. Never came about. Studio distributors who have local offices around the world say that the decision mainly impacts Latin America and parts of Asia. Showgirl did play in Mexico and was strongly performing. Also was in Uruguay. And there were a couple things that were going on with the movie that they were making reasons as to why the movie was going to be pulled. Subtitles that were apparently played in English only. And the fact that certain territories wanted time to review the film for the ratings and censorship rules, and Team Swift wanted to move on. Swift exercises extraordinary control when it comes to business decisions, and also any studio that would be willing to work with her. So AMC was working with her on that, and it did record-breaking business in the domestic box office. It did fine. It beat Smashing Machine and one battle after another. No problem with that. Now, it was not a concert pick, nor was it a documentary. Again, you're just seeing a couple things that were going to be featured as part of the movie, and that was it. That was going to be the plan for it. In the movie, for the official release party, the plan was to have the exclusive world premiere of The Fate of Ophelia video, behind-the-scenes footage from the music video shoot, brand new lyric videos, Taylor's never-before-seen personal reflections on songs from the new studio album, her 12th, by the way. And that was it. So it wasn't like there was going to be a whole lot extra to go to, so I can see where some people might have skipped this, but for Taylor Swift fans, just to get together to go and sing along, I was surprised that didn't get more of a crowd to show up, even if she wasn't going to be singing herself. And by the way, the Fate of Ophelia video, she directed herself. 90% of the audience were females. 74% of ticket buyers were under age 34. Largest quadrant was between 18 to 24 years old. But what's interesting is that there's kind of a push to go ahead and quickly pull this away from theaters, not keep it out there, if it's still making money. Because what else is making money in the movie theaters right now anyway? Not much. And so the decision, okay, let's just go and pull this out. Plus, then there's the issues that were being talked about when it came to the music that they got put out. So let's go through that part. She did set a new modern era record for first week sales in the U.S., passing Adele. And 3.5 million equivalent album units in its debut week. But critics were pouncing on the project. Has been given a mixed to negative review to a lot of reviews out there. Major outlets range from glowing to scathing, some calling the effort lazy and noting, quote, it was nowhere near as good as it should be, given the reputation and the legacy of Taylor Swift and the music she's put out there before. That has been a lot better, obviously. And the turnaround time from her 2024 Tortured Poets department, I mean, it's one thing for having her Taylor's version of albums like Red or 1989 coming back out. That's one thing to have those coming back out once again. But this is new music now back to back. And it is a bit overkill. Plus the exposure to the NFL and all that still gets to be a little bit too much. But for her, this is not a loss for her. It's just you could tell that the music industry has struggled this year. But there's been a lot of struggles this year. And there's probably been some albums you probably didn't even know that came out, that came and went. Because if you look at some of the names of artists, major music label artists, of course, they don't want to go ahead and work on building and developing new artists these days. They're not even trying anymore. So many independent artists out there doing their own thing, and they just hope they can hit something that will hit lightning in a bottle, and somehow somebody's going to go and find out about it, which is exactly how some of these artists are coming out in the first place now, charting today. I mean, or they're coming from somewhere else. There's a reason where Alex Warren or Olivia Dean from Britain, or just coming where the British audience is able to go into track. Alex Morton, is he British? No, he's American, right? But his music didn't really hit like it did in Britain and in Europe for whatever reason. Because Carry Me Home was the first thing I remember seeing for him. And then Ordinary, and that became the wedding song, and everybody just blew that up all the summer long. And now he's got Eternity as a new single. And now he has an album out there, and great for him. Olivia Dean just put out a new album. It's great. She's got a lot of great songs on there. The singles, of course, I'm always going to be positioned to, because I'm always that kind of person. I'm not the person that goes always into album cuts. Like, it's very rare for me to go after album cuts because, when the labels are out there, they want to put the singles out. They always kind of know which ones are going to be the singles, with a rare exception. And then I just have to wait on the charts to see what other songs people are resonating to that reach higher up on the charts like the other songs. So for Olivia Dean, for whatever reason, Man I Need is the one song that everybody's resonating to in the U.S. Meanwhile, she's had Nice to Each Other that was doing very well and now hit a new mark at number 9. She had 3 songs in the top 10. Oh, sorry, 2 songs in the top 10 on the UK charts this past weekend. And now she comes in, new album comes in, and now she has 3 songs in the Hot 100 that actually are up there this time. And Man I Need is just outside of the top 10. Great for her. But those are artists that we're noticing here, and, they're not much more being paid attention. I mean, there's other artists that have done very well. Morgan Wallen obviously kicked ass with another album coming out and still rules the charts today. But there have been some that have come and went. And also because of the fact that there are some older artists. I'm not saying old in terms of they're getting older in age, but it's been a while since we've seen them come out with new albums. Lil Wayne, the Carter 6, his 6th installment, but it took so long from the last one to this one. And Carter 5 wasn't that much better either. But an alarming commercial underperformance this year. It was number 2 in the Billboard 200, 108,000 sales of albums. And the streaming data, 14.2 million first day streams on Spotify. The Carter 5 had 66 million streams in its 2018 debut. When you're keeping yourself away from the limelight and you're not putting out music like you used to, that's one thing we're not getting much of anything right now. We don't have a lot of albums coming out on a regular basis unless you're just white hot. I mean, listen, for Sabrina Carpenter to go and carry right off of the whole thing with Taylor Swift and being on Eras Tour, and taking advantage of it, sure. Go ahead and get out there and put another album. And, she did her thing with Short and Sweet and a deluxe version. And then she comes back out again with Man's Best Friend and, is done pretty well. But again, there's that Taylor Swift approval. And the fact that, in the new Life of a Showgirl album, the 2 songs feature Philia. And, for me, I did enjoy The Fate of a Philia, excuse me. And then enjoying Life of a Showgirl, where Sabrina Carpenter is a featured artist on it. Those are the 2 songs to go and catch most of all. But we'll see what the rest of the chart looks like. Next week, the chart's going to be, I guarantee, maybe all but 1 or 2 spots will have Taylor Swift taking up the whole chart. I don't think she takes up the entire chart. I think she takes 8 slots of the 10. Because I feel like something will happen. There will be a couple songs that will still stay up there. I don't know why, but I think Golden will still stay up there. And I can still see What I Want. Morgan Wallen and Tate McRae still staying up there. And I think those 2 songs will remain. I don't think anyone else is going to take that spot, but I think those 2 songs will remain in the top 10, and then Taylor Swift takes the rest. And she'll take up probably about the first, she'll take up out of the 12 songs on the album, probably about up to the top 20. I'm sure they're probably all clear the top 20. But then keep an eye on it, because in the following week, there's going to be a lot of drop off of a number of songs. And I only think a couple of songs are actually going to stay around top 10, if any. And that's it, because the other ones are going to take a tumble. And that's when you always know there's something going on with that there. Now, back to Lil Wayne. So, the product was slammed for being awful and inconsistent production and poor sonic cohesion. The beats sounded like some of the worst production they've heard in years. And there was a lack of quality control and vision that have hampered the artist's the artistic merit and commercial appeal. Yeah, it was just not good. And I think it was like one song I enjoyed out there was like NLA, I think it was. I forget. It was like one song I actually thought was even worthwhile to listen to for a little bit, but like everything else was just, no. It's an artist that's just legacy. Listen, you're just getting a payday off of it, that's fine, but like really not much more. It's a throwaway. That's the biggest part. All these albums, for the most part, you're getting a lot of throwaway songs. It's disposable. And we shouldn't be expecting the music labels to be putting out music that is going to end up being disposable. It's very tough. Some mixed bag for some of the artists now. Let's say with Doja Cat and Cardi B. So Doja Cat has V that just came out and has been struggling severely with initial commercial metrics. 32 to 40,000 units sold. Scarlett, from a few years back, has 72,000 first week units. And there's the album's lack of a major radio streaming single. Jealous Type is the single to go look forward to. Everywhere else with that album, no, not really. Not much really came of it. But Jealous Type was the single, and that was pretty much it. I can tell you exactly what happened with Doja Cat. The problem with her is that she alienated her audience. Let's not forget that long ago that she really bashed back at her audience, because then she decided to go in this other route, go a little more demonic, stop with the wig, stop with the glam, because she didn't like the objectification of her. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong about that, but the thing was, when we saw how she looked in Say So, and we see her in other songs, Planet Her was a completely different vibe. And for whatever reason, it all changed for her. Kiss Me More was a great song with SZA. And there was so much going on to it. Get Into It, yeah, also great. And she was doing just fine. She had a song on the Elvis soundtrack. And then there was just a point before Scarlett comes out that she was going after the fan base. Because, all you want to do is just, fantasize, having sex with her and all this kind of thing. And she didn't want to go and look glamorous anymore. Something changed, because why did she turn back? Like, it was almost like, it wasn't like she could play this off. This was like an era for her. So it's like Madonna, okay, she's changing her look. No, what she actually did, Doja Cat now, it looks like she's gone back to her original persona. And it's also not like she's very playful like she was before. That's all kind of like gone. It's a different feel to her. So her identity is now changed. But, that's also the thing where, when you go out there and you hit an album and it hits so hard, and then everything just changes after that, and you don't want to go into another area with it, like, you just, genie back in the bottle is not going to happen for her. And that's what happened with her right now. Cardi B also struggling right now. She did debut number 1 on the Billboard 200, 200,000 equivalent units. So she's still got a fan base. But again, the album that she had out first was 2018. 7 years. She's only been putting out singles that we've seen, like WAP and Up. But that's been a while. And those are great songs. But you know what? Nothing else has happened. And she's had other songs that she was doing in either features and all. But she was doing other things with herself. Being a mom and having relationships, going in other routes. There's critics saying that she delivered solid rap performances, but the album was long and criticized for relying on older tracks to inflate consumption metrics. So, too far to miss the mark. And then you have albums that come out, basically concept albums for Lady Gaga and Miley Cyrus. And Miley Cyrus, I don't understand either, because Endless Summer Vacation was a different vibe to her. And now all of a sudden she's coming back in and trying to glam herself up as well. This is the girl that's got like a million tats on her and just has like a certain I guess she was like channeling Blondie and Fleetwood Mac and all this kind of thing. And then she's trying to go into another route. And it just didn't work. I mean, look, Flowers is a great song and people heard it for years, it feels like. But to get that again is feeling a bit much. Something Beautiful was the album that came out. Critics did have some people that thought it was very ambitious and introspective, but she was moving into a genre-defying cinematic and almost prog pop space. The lead single, End of the World, stalled at number 52 on the Billboard Hot 100 and failed to match Flowers. No major crossover hit, and the album's less commercial direction resulted in a quiet chart performance in the U.S., and many to label the critically complex but commercially disappointing project as a significant underperformance relative to her status. And there's just some points where she's had some hits where just like all of a sudden, I mean, like when I think Plastic Hearts, okay, Prisoner was not bad with Dua Lipa. I enjoyed Midnight Sky a lot. I thought it was a great song. Malibu was okay for the last album. But then when I look and say, okay, she had the song Nothing Breaks Like a Heart with Mark Ronson. Also a great song. And there have been other things that she did that I just didn't really get into. Like, okay, Used to Be Young? No, not my song. Heart of Glass, recreating Blondie? No, I didn't like that either. And I think we've also just had her out there for so long that if she's not staying in a particular lane that we're always used to, it's just not working. But that's somebody's been out there. I mean, at what point do you realize, okay, she's not going to be that big star like she was before? I mean, right now I'm thinking about Ariana Grande is going to go back out touring again. And I'm saying to myself, if she puts out another album coming up for herself after the Wicked stuff, I don't know if she's going to be able to do well to get back into the lane because it's been a little bit too long away. Even if she did put out an album not too long ago, it didn't perform that well. And the same thing goes, even with the deluxe edition didn't do much better either. But that kind of fate is going on right now with the rest of these artists. Then you get to Lady Gaga and Mayhem. So she wanted to go balls to the wall, pop extravaganza, get the monsters out there and all this thing going on again. And she put the lead single, Disease, that came out, peaked at number 27. And then there was a promotional pivot. Then she came out with Die With a Smile in the feature with Bruno Mars. And of course, we haven't gotten rid of that song. It's just still out there. But the album was deemed the return to her straightforward pop star mode. Some songs being called unambitious and a failure to sound as thrilling or innovative as her best work. Yeah, it just felt like it was kind of a bit of an amalgamation of the same as before. And even the song that she put out for the Wednesday soundtrack, Dead Dance, it just doesn't work. Like that whole kind of 80s disco vibe to it. I don't know if this is going to be a song that's going to even get resurrected back for Halloween. It doesn't really work. I listened to it and I was like, I wanted to give it a chance, but no, it's not working for me. No. So the market is in disarray. Overall, you're looking at the fact that celebrity power remains immense, but still increasingly volatile. While Taylor Swift, it doesn't matter. She can put out a bad album. It's going to sell. That's just the power that she has. But those that were giants in the space, you would think, man, these are can't miss. Lil Wayne, Doja Cat, did not work. Could not crack 9-figure stream counts that define modern mega hits. Poor production choices, inconsistent artistic direction. And so there's all that going on. And it's all hurting across the board. And then when you look at what has been charting this year that have hit the Billboard Hot 200, the album chart, it's amazing what's up there. So at the start of the year, you had Little Baby that came out with this album, Wham! It was up there for a week. Up and gone. The Weeknd with Hurry Up Tomorrow. 1 week. And that movie probably tanked it. And there have been a couple of songs that held off from it. I mean, you think about Timeless and, that's pretty much, there's a couple of songs that came from it, but Cry For Me, but there was not much more that came off of that really was popular. Then you had G-Next with Kendrick Lamar, and of course, Squabble Up came out of that, Luther, Man of the Garden. Actually did really well, TV Off. That really did hold up well at the start of the year, and it did a lot. 2 weeks at number 1, 3 weeks total. 236,000 units sold for albums. Also, he won 5 Grammy Awards and also had a Super Bowl halftime show that also contributed to all that. So he did really good. He's one of the real success stories this year, but also fresh off everything that happened with the fight with Drake last year, which we went through pretty extensively in several episodes last year. Party Next Door would come out with 1 week with Some Sexy Songs For You, which had a couple of features of Drake. In and Out. Tate McRae was So Close to What. 1 week at number 1, but a lot of songs that have stayed and have held the test of time. When you think about it, Revolving Door still stays out there. Sports Car still holds up really strong. It's Okay, I'm Okay was a very good, strong hit. And, she's still doing this fine. Also just putting out extra things, being features, still putting out some of the most promotional singles out there. Then you had Mayhem that was 1 week at number one on the album chart. Then Eternal Sunshine Deluxe Brighter Days Ahead, which had a couple more songs that got a little bit more interesting. So Twilight Zone was in there. And that was the one song that really kind of just stuck around. And We Can't Be Friends, that was the one song that came out from the original start of the album. And that was not much more. And yes, but again, that's all from last year. Then you get Playboy Cardi that was 3 weeks at number one with Music, which was just, it was just noise. I'm sorry. There was nothing redeeming to this at all. But it was up there and people got to it and it sold. Ken Carson and More Chaos also got the number one. I don't know who that is. I don't know. A rapper. Haven't heard of him. SZA coming out with her deluxe album, Lana. And that also did really well. But also, with all the love that came from the Kendrick Lamar album and also her work she's been doing out there, she's pretty consistent going out there and being noticed in her lane for R&B. Ghost Skeleton was 1 week at number one. I didn't even know about that. Then you had Bad Bunny with Debí Tirar Más Fotos, which killed. You want to talk about one of the success stories for album sales this year at the start of the year was him. And he had a lot of songs in the Latin chart that have held up. We get Nueva York, Voy a Llevarte a PR, Baila Invulnerable. Like, there's a lot of bangers in this here. Across, I think of the songs that I was always hitting up with. Velda, Bad Bunny, Omar Court's Davy. Café con Ron was really good because there was a lot of that feel of where he was really getting himself into the salsa merengue vibe, and even the dembow stuff. EO also in that same run, and DTMF and La Mudanza. There was a lot of good songs on the album. Don't get me wrong. When he goes to do the Super Bowl this next year, he's got a lot of songs to work with. There's a lot of material. We'll see how it goes. Sleep Token giving in 1 week at number one with Even in Arcadia. Then you had Travis Scott with Jack Boys 2, and there's a handful of songs I got off of that album that I really enjoyed. But again, it wasn't like it was a big deal coming off of that. And this is after Morgan Wallen had the number one spot on the chart, on the albums chart for 2 months. So Jack Boys, if you had to tell me about his music, I'm still about PBT. I like that. I did like Shine, Travis Scott with Glorilla. I was all about that. But there wasn't much more to that I really enjoyed. But, there's a few things with it. Tyler, the Creator, 1 week number one in August with Don't Tap the Glass. And now Sugar on My Tongue is definitely in the lexicon right now. It's gotten viral like crazy. The Sucker for You was actually there. I'm not into Tyler, the Creator. It's just not my thing. I'm not young enough and hip enough to really appreciate that. Morgan Wallen, as we already said, that guy had a million songs right now with I'm the Problem. And so there's the feature track, Superman, What I Want, Just in Case, 20 Cigarettes. And again, there was 37 songs. So something was going to work with this. Love Somebody that was already a hit before all this. Ain't Coming Back. And there's just so much more going on with this here that he was doing that worked really well. I actually kind of like the song Miami, the remix. That was actually pretty good. So, but again, 37 songs. A lot of people were going to go back to listen to that again. Stray Kids Karma also hit number one this year. And then Superman's Best Friend, 1 week at number one. That's it. And so from that album, Man Child Tears. And for me, I also like When Do You Get Hot. Everything else, House Tour's not bad. That's fine. But again, 12 albums, pretty well set. But didn't have a whole lot of songs that just stuck up there and stayed for a long time. 21 Pilots having an album this year and also hitting up a little bit higher up for 1 week. And this was just late last month. I don't even remember about 21 Pilots, but yeah, they came out with another album and there you go. And I said with Cardi B, okay, with her album, I'm the Drama, I was feeling good about Safe with Kehlani. That song was the only one song I really felt like was like something there. Other than that, didn't really feel anything else about anything else she had on the album that really just felt. Think about it. She had Tyler on the album. She had Janet Jackson on the album. And I was like, and Summer Walker. And I was like, did not hit like I would think. Not like I would hope. And then K-pop Demon Hunters, which, there's a lot of songs that are still holding up right now. Takedown, How It's Done, Soda Pop, Golden, Strategy. There's Your Idol. Those songs are still up there. What it sounds like, those songs are still up there and performing well. And no one saw that coming. But that's the weakness right now of the music industry. There's just nothing more going on with it there. And it's sad to see that. A couple more stories I want to go and get into before we wrap things up. There's a new thing now. Remember I talked about Tilly Norwood last week? The AI star that's getting to be an overnight sensation that eventually will become, possibly if she gets an agent, she'll become a big star. And Hollywood is pushing back against it. Well, the other part I have to push back against is Sora, which is not an actress or an actual talent. It's a platform. It's software. So CAA, one of the biggest agencies in the world, have sounded the alarm over Sora 2. It's a new OpenAI generative video model allowing users to create social media ready videos with a brief text prompt. So it can be the product of the user's imagination, fan fiction like story using recognizable properties. The remix feature will allow for mind-bending mashups. We've already seen out there Tupac Shakur sitting on the set of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Michael Jackson doing jackass-like stunts, or Pikachu strapping on a helmet to fight in the Thin Red Line. All these kind of things that are going on. Disney and several other players opted out from the beginning and put out a stern statement saying that Sora 2 exposes our clients, quote, and their intellectual property to significant risk, end quote. The Motion Picture Association and Charles Rivkin, who speaks for major Hollywood studios, said in a statement that it's the responsibility of OpenAI to prevent infringement in the Sora 2 service. OpenAI needs to take immediate action and decisive action to address the issue. Well-established copyright law safeguards the rights of creators and applies here. No response from OpenAI yet. But there has already been some part where some AI companies are coming in and they're trying to go up against the breaches. Warner Brothers, Walt Disney, and NBC Universal filing suit against San Francisco-based AI firm Midjourney over protected IP, ranging from DC superheroes to Star Wars superheroes in their service. So the AI companies are coming in, and all these big major studios are all fighting back with lawsuits as best as they can. Other news, LA Times Union now has a strike at its hands. So the LA Times, they have voted to authorize a strike, hoping to reach a new contract with management. And the union voted in support by 85%. The LA Times Guild, representing reporters, the editors, designers, photographers, and other journalists at the West Coast's largest newspaper. No strike date has been scheduled, but the vote gives the Guild leadership the authority to call for a work stoppage if the union finds it necessary. That's now coming up. The union's been trying to bargain for a new contract for 3 years, during which the LA Times has gone through several rounds of layoffs, cutting union members from 450 to 200. And we talked about some of those layoffs as well. With that, I want to go see Roof Band, the Channing Tatum movie coming out this weekend. It was either that or I was going to go watch, there was some other movie coming out. Oh, Good Fortune. No, that's next week. There's a bunch of movies still to go out, but there's not much to work off of. Music, movies, we could use some more quality. But, until then, come back next week to another Broadcasters Podcast. Remember that content is king and the control of your content is in your hands.